Hi everyone, this is Jason Kardos, real estate broker with Mount Helix Lifestyles, and I'm here today with Ryan Lipsey from Ticor Title, and we're doing another video update focused on real estate. Obviously, that's
yeah, right after the 4th of July, the summer heat is in full effect. The only thing hotter, I think, than the market is the day.
Well, that's true. We were trying to set up here in the studio. Yeah, it's going. I guess one thing I was talking with you before the show, I have a listing here. It's in the 620,000-30,000 range, and it's a nice home, view home here over off La Mesa and Spring Valley area. But what the trend I was seeing with this hot market is we had 3-4 offers, and 3 of them were contingent to them selling their home.
Okay.
2 of the homes were $1 million homes, so 620,000, that's about the average price in San Diego now. So I don't know the exact details of these home buyers, but obviously they're either cashing in on some equity from their homes, or maybe they're getting debt relief and moving down.
Yeah, you see a rash of move-up buyers, you know, people with having another baby or coming into some kind of settlement or made partner or who knows what, and they're moving up into larger homes. And then you see a rash of downsizing. You know, people moving out of the ranch-style homes, moving out of, you know, Poway, Scripps, East County, and getting a condo and getting rid of the big ranch-style square footage they don't need anymore, empty nesters, things like that. So I think those are a lot of movement in those segments of the market. But a lot of demand. Continues to be a ton of buyers for every listing. I mean, are you still, you know, putting it on the MLS and your phone's still blowing up?
Yeah, the caveat is I do have some clients that say, oh, the market's so hot, but you still got to price it, you sellers, you know, somewhat in the range. And if you price, you know, everyone says, well, maybe we'll go past the asking price, and we can to a certain extent, but if it's not a cash offer, it has to appraise.
Right.
So I am seeing that, and then I do have 2 past clients, and I've been kind of helping people with for sale by owner. Usually, a lot of times they'll kind of fail or they get frustrated.
Yeah.
But
and they go with the professional.
Well, yeah, and then of course one of my clients, though, I've sold a couple of their properties. They were in the loan industry before, and they're pretty savvy. So it is tending to work out. I help load it in the MLS, use my open house signs. They're doing all the work. Of course, they've asked me a little bit, but the big thing for them is the legal disclosures, and so I've kind of helped them with that.
It's a huge pitfall, man. The legal ramifications of them making mistakes or not disclosing things is huge.
Well, and I use a transaction coordinator, and I was trying to do it piecemeal, and that's one of my things. If you are thinking of something like that, I'm open to doing packages, but truthfully, it's hard to just stop and then not help all the way.
Yeah.
But partly I wanted to throw that out there to people watching, but just, yeah, the way the market is, some people say, oh, the home's gonna sell itself.
It's a misconception big time, because you have a limited, you know, visibility on your property as a seller when you try to market it yourself. And Jason and people in your profession have access to the MLS. You got a larger social media platform. You have more followers. You can get the most eyeballs on a given property means the highest retail value for that property, because you have the most amount of bidders, right? If you're only this segment of the potential buying population is seeing your property, well, you're going to have a limited amount of value for that. If you open it up to the whole spectrum, which you're able to do, it just makes sense to go with the real estate professional. But I do agree there's tons of buyers still for everything that hits the market. But you do need to be priced right, because it's kind of jaded the seller, kind of jaded the homeowner into thinking they can command whatever price they want coming through the spring and the summer the way we have, with overpriced and getting over asking pretty readily. You know, you have regular market times between 30 and 45 days for a property to be on the market. And I constantly hear, if it's not in escrow in a couple weeks, the sellers are losing their patience, and it's just, that's not a sustainable model, and it's not a sustainable pattern. The normal life cycle of market time of a listing is up to 60 days.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
that's
I know.
A healthy market.
Well, yeah, when I first started, yeah, we take a 6-month listing.
Yeah.
So yeah, when people want instant gratification, but then again, I mean, if it's priced right or nothing funky with the home, I mean, you should be having interest.
Well, one of the trends I see is doing a minimalistic type of kind of renovation, you know, not to exceed 10, 20 grand, you know, but just getting it fresh, because there's very little new product, especially out here in East County. You know, you don't have a lot of homes built within the last 5 years. So if you can freshen up the home that you have, put some new lipstick and new countertops, paint the cabinets, things like that, make it feel new and fresh, I think it moves a lot faster, don't you think?
Well, and that's a good point. These two for sale by owner friends, they were both rentals. One is owned free and clear.
Okay.
So yeah, if you were living in the home and family and showing, but I guess for them, and then the other one, they do have debt. It was a condo in El Cajon, but they asked me, and they did do a fresh new kitchen. I referred them to a contractor, and
nice. And
so
moved,
that
right?
made it pop. So
I'm telling you, man, so people have just really attracted to that new, fresh feeling and kind of new product feel.
Well, and then for me to close the thought on the other for sale by owner right up here, free and clear. The neighbor wanted to buy it, and he wanted to buy it for years, and he wasn't quite able to. He had to put his condo on the market, and so that a lot of times when the neighbor wants to buy, they don't have the wherewithal, or they want a deal before it hits the market. But in this instance, you know, and that's the thing as a realtor, my fiduciary duty is the best to the client. So although sometimes, you know, I have to play devil's advocate, both of them seem to know what they're getting into.
Sure.
And they haven't, and actually if we do another video, they have not closed yet. They're both pending, so I'll let you know any good or bad.
Yeah, we'll give you an update, right?
Yeah, so.
What do you see the market here in East County doing?
Well, that's a good point. And I have the trends up on the screen here. 640,000 median price home in San Diego County.
Wow.
So we're looking at it here, and I know you're big on tracking the inventory. What's it saying? Almost 3 months.
Yeah, just
here.
under 3 months of inventory.
So that sounds about right. On the market for 13 days. So this is for all of San Diego County, and this is from the California Association of Realtors. But Ryan's question, I think, were you saying East County, right?
Yeah, here in your specialty, La Mesa, Spring Valley, El Cajon, Rancho. I know overall, countywide, we are 1,400 or so homes or units behind 2017. So it makes it hard because you have a ton of demand. You got a lot of buyers out there looking to buy. And so far through June of this year, we're 1,400 homes behind last year. And that's significant market, you know, that's significant inventory that buyers aren't able to get into those homes because they're not hitting the market. So I feel like now in summer, we're seeing some more homes hit the market. The buyers are having some options out there, provided that they have the financing in place and can act quickly. And there's so many different products that allow you to act like a cash buyer. You know, I'm sure Jason has his lending references, and I know some people that can help you act just like a cash buyer, but secure a mortgage. You know, you've got to be ready to perform when you get and engage the seller and engage the listing agent and get that contract under contract and into escrow as fast as you can.
Well, that's a huge thing and a good point. And I did pull up here on the screen. So we're saying 640 for San Diego County wide, and then what I did here is detached homes, so I could go to condos, but here it's coming. Gosh, what is it coming in about almost 570 or so. So
yeah.
And if the county wide is 640, so
about right.
That's So you know, East County, I do a lot here. So people are coming out to La Mesa. You know, it's a little cheaper than countywide. And I think the lifestyle, especially we have our village in La Mesa, a lot of craftsmen and
good bars, restaurants.
Well, and there's the North Park crowd, and I guess they come out here and they're like, wow, I didn't know we can get, you know, a similar type of vibe, but coming in at what, 50, 60,000 less. And
it's walkable. You have beer fest, you have farmers markets.
There's the trolley. And so, I'm in my 40s and family, and I grew up in East County. I did live and own property in North Park, and I do really love the city. But for me personally, as I had a family, and I went out here a little slower pace, not as much going on. I know you're an East County guy, and you chose the beach route.
Born and raised in Rancho and Spring Valley and La Mesa areas. You know, we grew up in Casa de Oro together throughout Spring Valley, going to school and stuff. And last spring we headed up to Carlsbad, and it's nice up there, but you can't go wrong with East County. It's salt of the earth people, great price points, you know, and good amount of properties to choose from still. So it's a great place to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We kind of talked about those. Short-term vacation rental. So that's something I've been doing a lot. I have a vacation rental in Julian, California. It's a historic gold mine area. And the place I had, it was supposed to be like a KOA campground. But this is about my second. I've done a full year and a half. It took a lot of effort to get it going, furnishing, just dialing in when people come and, doing the laundry and getting ready for the next person. But I've kind of got there on my personal property, and I've been hearing it a lot more from clients. They think, oh, should we just go this short-term rental route? And it can be profitable. So I wanted to bring that up.
What kind of advice can you give? Like, have dishes ready, have bedding, and like puzzles and things to do?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because they got me going almost to like a hotel. The one I have about 45 minutes away, so I enjoyed driving there, but technically it should have been maybe something a little closer. But so I think being close to it if there's a problem. But with what you're saying, I did go to IKEA. I got a lot of kitchen supplies like from there. The furniture, I have kind of nice furniture, but it's kind of like Kmart or Target futon bed, so nothing too fancy, but it looks good. I did buy a piece at Father Joe's downtown, and they get a lot of the factory seconds from Jerome's, I guess. So that, and then when it comes to linens, I was theming in Julian. It's a country town, so I kind of had country linens, but I think I got like 3 or 4 sets, and that was one of the things I didn't realize, but I read. So if one of the pieces get damaged or what, but it's nice to wash it and then put the next set when people come. 'Cause I would say that's
fresh bedding.
That's the quickest thing to get fresh bedding, and if you're not a huge hotel, and then I was able to find a cleaning lady up there helping me very
like a handyman and stuff too.
Yeah, and no, well, it's been me, but
it's a good passive income though.
But it is. So with that being said, I think the unit I used to rent out about $600, $750 a month, and that to monthly rentals. And now, even if I was just getting the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm doing it about $100 a night.
Okay.
So I kind of doubled it there, but I've been surprised with Julian. People have been going to festivals, the mountains. I had a priest from a church. I guess a lot of churches pay for their vacation. He stayed there for a month. So really, I was just banking
religious
on
retreats, stuff like that.
The weekend rentals, but now I'm seeing year round. And then just San Diego in general. For the Julian, I thought the mountains in the winter, but just as much people going during the summer hiking. And so, although I'm talking about a more rural vacation rental, I know down Golden Hills, the city, obviously the beach areas are real hot.
You can make one almost anywhere.
You can.
Downtown is up and coming, I think.
We do have a beach rental in Mission Beach, and we had rented to like traveling nurses, or there's people like contractors in the military that they need a place for a couple of months, and they have like a placement agency. So
you have a growing demand
Yeah.
for short-term vacation
So I wanted to bring that up. I do have actually one client I know who's doing it pretty successfully, but I know it's one of those things people talk about, but then like, hey, so
it's kind of nice to know you're actually doing it, and you know people who are doing it.
Yeah.
So can you help people if they wanted to pick up an investment property? Is that something you can help them with?
Well, yeah, and then
as a real estate professional.
Well, and that was the thing. In investment, you thought like units or an apartment, but going back to this vacation rentals and all, I mean, a condo or a single family unit. I traditionally, unless you had a lot of equity or owned it a long time, purchasing one right away and cash flowing is kind of hard. But if you're doing the short-term
you can get there.
rental model, I think it's going to be a little bit of stress or a lot more. You have to be on the ball in the beginning, but you do have the opportunity to cash flow and produce more.
That's cool.
Nice. Yeah. So I have that, and then what else? We did the market update, the move downs. The PFAC, the Professional Fiduciary Association of California. I went to their conference. It's a yearly conference a couple months ago, and I've been talking to everyone about a fiduciary. Usually when someone's parents pass or have an estate, it's kind of put onto the kids to settle the estate, work with attorneys and sell the home.
Yeah.
But it's been around for a long time. You can actually hire a fiduciary, and that word means they put your best interests before theirs. And like a lender or a real estate broker or agent, the fiduciary can settle the estate for a fee.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been active in, and just as the baby boomers are coming, and even my wife and I, both our parents are doing well, but they're in their 70s and 80s, and it's just, what do they call it, the sandwich generation. You're taking care of your kids plus your parents. So
yeah.
and that's a trend that I'm trying to dabble in it and get context, but Medi-Cal, Medicare, just trying to take advantage of benefits. It's a lot to.
Well, and fiduciaries act as a professional executor in the absence of a trust, right? I mean, or do they usher you through if there is a trust?
No, there can be trust, and then
Okay.
fiduciary. People think estates like someone died, and I had worked for a fiduciary where the people were still alive, but they had to be in a home or couldn't care for themselves. So it's not necessarily you can be alive or have a
Okay, so
a
it's
trust.
not always a probate situation, because I know it's very common in probates to issue a
Right.
fiduciary, or the judge will issue in the probate court a fiduciary to that specific estate.
Well, and that was in the pure sense of what it used to be. Is if they couldn't find any living members of the estate, they would hire a fiduciary. So it's been around a long time.
Yeah.
But I think now more and more people are using it as an option. Actually, I did work for the private bank, Union Bank, and it was for the Horton Trust. And so
Really?
Horton Plaza,
Yeah.
they had properties on Coronado, and I sold one in the Oak Park area. So that's another thing. Whether you like it or not, you can actually have banks be your fiduciary and settle your estate. Yes, some people like it. Some
all the more reason
Yeah.
to get an irrevocable family trust, right?
Right.
I mean, to reach out to an estate planning attorney. They're more and more reasonably priced. And it's just basically a guidebook or a playbook to what the heirs do in the case of your death, right? Who gets what, how the assets are distributed, and all that stuff. So, we have a trust for our family just because you don't want any guesswork. You don't want the courts to sort out your estate because all the proceeds go to an attorney.
Well, and I think if I heard you right, I think you said irrevocable, which I don't think you would want.
Revocable.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk to an attorney. We're not the professionals on that.
Well, no, not that. Well, no, it's you're good, but the revoke when you're alive, they call it a living trust. You would want a revocable one, meaning, things changed and you wanted to give your house to your dog instead of your kids, or you can revoke and make changes, and people call it a living trust because you're still alive. There are irrevocable trusts, or if you watch KPBS, they have the endowment fund, and so maybe there's 100 acres of woodland and someone wants it irrevocable, meaning they want it to stay forever. Yeah, but
you
for
can't edit that.
Yeah, I mean, so if you have an estate,
so get a revocable living trust.
Yeah, I mean, but for most people, that's what you want. And then you don't need it by law. People say they have a will, which isn't the same as a living trust, but the main thing is you don't need to have one, but if you die, the government says, okay, I don't know what you wanted, Ryan.
So then they're going to make it up as they go.
So that's why it's worth pay the $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for it, and it's a lot cheaper to do it now than going through probate. And it's something people don't really want to talk about, but especially if you have kids and a little bit of money, the trust, they also have a health care mandate. So if you're in a car accident, God forbid, and you say, I leave it to my wife to pull the plug or not. So there's some things like that, and also bank accounts nowadays. I think you're going to talk about wire fraud a little bit, but and I deal with it a lot. People will pass, and the kids are taking over the trust. It's best to get like a tax ID number, set up a trust account, and start accounting for everything. Because if you don't have that trust, the bank a lot of times, even if you're the son of your mom, and they'll say, well, show me proof. And so they've really, maybe you can get into that, clamp down on the financial.
It just makes it cleaner, you know, and they have, everything notarized and backed up by the law firm that drafts the trust, that these were your will and this is what your intent was. And from beyond the grave, you can issue a mandate of how your estate is going to be cared for and distributed. Mm-hmm. I think that's important, and it takes, because in the time of bereavement, in time of next of kin and children and offspring and such, dealing with your passage, and mourning you don't want them on top of that having to fight out who gets what, right?
That's a big thing.
To me, I think that's just a basic, leave a rule book, leave a playbook, leave instructions, so that your family doesn't have to experience any of that. This is, to me, it makes sense. To you, suit yourself, but I know it can save a lot of heartache out there, and it's a minimal investment for, I think, the lawyer fees that you could run into through probates. It's not pretty. We see it a lot in our business, but properties going through probates can get pretty nasty. So, but yeah, no, in escrow and title, these crooks are getting more and more clever. And they're mimicking escrow companies, they're mimicking escrow officers in their email addresses, in their actions and behaviors. And when they have different radars and red flags that go off when emails come in that fundings are happening or closing and different keywords, and they'll intercept a wire that was meant to pay off an existing home or a down payment on the new purchase. They're intercepting hundreds and hundreds and millions of dollars nationwide. It's the number one cause for claims with title companies. So what escrow and title companies are doing together is making sure we have verbal confirmation of wires once they're sent. They're talking to the actual borrowers, voice to voice with the escrow officers to eliminate the opportunity for the internet, scams and criminals to intercept those wires. Because could you imagine? You save your shiny pennies, you got $50,000 to throw down on a house, and then the rest, $500,000 is coming in from a lender, and they steal it. And you're still on the hook for the loan. You don't get the house. All kinds of stuff can go wrong, and it's just a nasty situation. So when you're buying with Jason, make sure you're mindful of the fact, and we at Ticor are very, protective and have a lot of security thresholds in place to protect the consumer. The escrow, most accredited escrow companies have implemented different security measures to make sure that the consumer doesn't have to go through that. It's just a horrible thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard the horror stories.
Yeah, luckily I haven't had anything happen. But I think, and then we'll go back to the trust. That's another thing, kind of with what you're talking about. When you have a trust, it's recorded. You'll see the name of the trust, but only you have a copy of that document, usually in your safe or something. Or if you had an attorney do it, they'll keep a copy. But I wanted to close out on that. But just with your wire fraud, I mean, I think having a trust, it does make it a little harder. I know it gets frustrating with my clients when they're like, it's a trust, and you're asking for all sorts of documents to see who has the legal right. So I guess to close out on that, it can also help make your home a bit more secure, I guess. Keep your trust certificate handy, especially when you're doing real estate or other property dealings and selling and buying either personal property or real property. Because escrow and title companies are going to want to see the trust certificate because it indicates who has signing rights in the trust, right? Otherwise, it's just, anybody's guess as to who can act on behalf of the trust. But within the trust, usually on the trust certificate, it tells you exactly who can act, encumber debt on real estate, sell and buy real estate on behalf of the trust. So it's something to keep handy. It's usually the first document in the trust is called the certificate of trust. Keep it handy, keep a copy of it around. It'll save you some time. Okay, good. And yeah, I do have some attorneys I could refer, and I know people even do it on LegalZoom. And so I think, actually when I paid for mine, it took me 5-6 years. I never completed it until my daughter was born. So I'm not saying, a lot of people drive.
But you got it done, right?
But once you do it, you feel so great.
It's an exhale moment, that's for sure.
And you can always, do little fine tune and
we added the twins after. We had a trust, and then we had 2 more kids, and so we added the kids to include all the offspring from the so. Well,
that's a good point. And talked about the fiduciaries. And then I guess one thing I do work with CPAs, property management company, and probate attorneys. And so I just had a CPA. I'm meeting with an out-of-town client Wednesday. It's a family home in Oak Park, and her mom had passed. It's vacant. It has some furniture in it. But gosh, I talked to her about trust. One of the family members want to do a short-term vacation rental. The pros and cons. There are a couple of beneficiaries, and it always seems that there's usually one kid that's kind of well off, and then there's always one of the family members that need money or have certain things going on. But I'm meeting, I talked to her a couple days ago. I immediately called you. I don't think I saw it yet, but I got the preliminary title going. I did hear the family ran a business in North Park. And so things like franchise tax board, taxes and all can, even though this home is free and clear, there's no debt. Before I meet with her next week, I want to see, that it's clear. Get a holistic view of what the financial holdings want. That's smart. And she did get an appraisal. And actually, when I ran my numbers, the appraiser came in kind of to the data I had. I haven't seen the home yet, but the one big thing I was telling you, and I've been getting this more on these older homes, it has window bars. And that's fine. But the trustee, she did say in the appraisal, it talked about the window bars. And you know, if the home's fallen off the side of the hill, I can sell the home, but it's usually like a cash buyer and you know,
like
take
a fix
it
and
as
flip
is.
or investor guy, yeah.
But the one thing I was explaining with her, she, you know, a lot of times people want to sell it as is. But when we brought up the window bars, I said, you know, those are small things. Although you want to sell it as is, you know, we might want to remove the window
those,
bars.
yeah.
And my point I was telling her is, the more we can make it obtained for our loan, the more we'll get a retail buyer. Or maybe, you know, the first home I bought was kind of a fixer.
Yeah.
I didn't really do a home inspection. I knew what I was getting into. But my point is, I was excited and I wanted to make it work. So she wants to be fair, but you know, if she does do some things, we can open it up to more buyers who, other than cash, could use a loan.
Sure.
So when I meet with her, the main thing, I think she said it was the older style. They have like wing nuts, and so you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, there's a fire, and you're supposed to be trying to undo wing nuts and all. So nowadays, even if she kept them, they usually have a cable going down, and you kick it with your foot. And the main thing is smoke. You're supposed to be down low, and so I'll see. But there's some I like to share with you guys, you know, trust, and then these window bars. Not the end of the world, but we'll see. I'll see how it goes with her.
It's field experience, right?
Well, yeah, that, and then she is a trustee, but that's the other thing. So, trustees are exempt from some disclosures, but she's known the home for years. It's good and bad.
Gotcha.
And so technically she could maybe not disclose a lot, but I think, you know, she does have knowledge of certain items.
And liability in that case, yeah.
So I'll go over with that home, and the other main ones, smoke detector, carbon monoxide, the water heater strapped and brace, and probably the window bars are kind of the next big thing I run into a lot. So.
I mean, all of those are reasons to use a realtor, you know, to call Jason. I mean, these are things that you've run into over how many years in the industry now?
I think, well, since 2001, it was 17 years or so. Well, that was licensed, but
time.
before then, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got that, and then I guess
the market up there, and that's
and the one last thing, which I haven't unrolled yet, but 360 video or camera. So
wow.
I just got this, and it's a Ricoh, but this little thing, and I've taken a lot of pictures. I haven't done the first video tour, but there's another name brand that people in the industry know called Matterport, and I think it was a special camera. But this one, I'm using a software, and the beauty of this is you take the 360 pictures and people can kind of walk through the home like a video game. Oh. And I have one listing now that's a 3-story, 3 tri-level. So it's great for people to try to figure out what different levels and get a idea.
It's almost
of the
like
home.
You're in the home and you can hit that button and turn right and panel and up and all of that.
Right. So I've done
cool.
Well, I've done a couple, and I thought they're kind of gimmicky, but I'm going to try to develop a system to keep it going, and I think this might be good for every home. And I actually, the home I've been telling you about also got a couple offers, 2 offers from people that hadn't even seen the home, and it ends up they're in the military. So in San Diego, if people can't come see the home,
virtual tours,
especially if people want to keep the home clean or they don't want a lot of different showings, and so if we get it clean or as best as you want it, and we do the video, it can help answer a lot of questions. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'll have a video out here.
So that'll be on the next one, right?
Well, yes.
On the next episode of the Jason and Ryan Show, or whatever this is.
Well, I think, those are, the points I wanted to talk about. So hopefully this was kind of a fun video.
Yeah, it's hot here in East County. We're in the dog days of summer. Great time to sell your house. It's always a good time to buy, sell, and invest in San Diego. I mean, those are the basics. So, talk to Jason, call him up. He can find you something. Short-term rental, bigger house, smaller house, upsizing, downsizing, you name it. You can do it all. Well,
and Ryan, we're pretty consistent with sales all year, but summer tends to be, kids are out of school, people are doing moves, and what are we in, July? So if the escrow is 30, 45 days, people start to think of the holidays and they want to get something going. Not for everyone, but a lot of people, that's kind of a thing. Let's get it done in the summer, get the kids in the new school district, stuff like that. So.
Exactly.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.